All right, well, it's go time. It's time to start looking at the models and putting them out there. We're pretty much coming into consensus. Um, reason we haven't shown too much in terms of what the models are showing is because there's just so much volatility out there, and their main use is as a guide, as a tool. If you look at the last 20, 20 or so model runs, the GFS, let's say, you're going to get 15, 16, 17 different, interpretations and different things that are spit out. But now we're looking, 48, 72 hours in that window. We really need to start making things a little more concrete. As you know, I like to kind of show different graphics, ones that are a little more engaging, a little different. This is a graphic that shows the modeling forecast. So you can see these straight lines here are all the actual points of intensity that was forecasted by the models. We talked about the potential dip the other day while we went over a little bit of cooler water. That occurred a little bit later than we thought, but again, we had that intense first sort of wrap of intensification, how it went to a category 2 pretty quickly. So the models have been pretty much in line, especially early on, right? And then here we kind of had that hiccup where we lost that intensity just for a bit, and then it is once again returned. Right now, Florence is a Category 4, 140 mile per hour winds hurricane. Size of this thing is massive. It's 200 miles in surface area. When you see it on a map, it's pretty ominous. So the rest of here after this point is the forecast over the next 4 days. As you see, we're probably going to peter out around 130 knots, and then we'll drop down once this hits land. We also need to talk about the precipitation. That's going to be super important as well. So again, here with models, we want to start looking for trends. So we're looking at some ensemble members, and we need to get that consensus. And really, we're thinking North Carolina really is that bullseye. Really think that's where we're going to end up. And that's where the focal point is going to be. But this whole area here, from Georgia all the way up to probably Atlantic City, really just need to be on the lookout for some really bad surf. Obviously, the wind in this area is going to be pretty significant. The flooding that's going to occur at the coast is going to be devastating. And we're not trying to use that word to scare you, but we're trying to use that word to scare you. If you're at the coast, you need to go. This is not one of those sit and wait it out sort of things. I have family there with property, and I told them to close up and leave. So that's what we be telling all of our clients is to make sure you're safe and go from there. Let's dive a little bit deeper. Here's a current sat view. As I said in the discussion post, last night there seemed to be going an eye transport where the eye of the hurricane will actually weaken and it'll actually branch off into where it looks like it has two different eyes. And you can kind of see it in this one, even here. The 1 and then 2 right there with a couple shelf clouds in there. This is actually a sign, not of so much weakening, but that the hurricane's actually reloading and getting ready to re-intensify. So I think it's going to go one more push to really go through cyclogenesis or bombogenesis, where we need to lose 20 millibars of pressure in a 24-hour period, and that's what we call bombing out. And I think Flo is really going to make that one last gas effort for this. One other thing I wanted to show, I do want to finally go in and look at some models, but not just the surface and the QPF. We've talked about that. We've shown that. But so much more the upper level dynamics that is going to put everything into place, or keep everything into place, actually. So quickly, we'll look at the pressure and QPF. Here comes Flo. And tomorrow we'll talk about Helene and a couple other things that are going on in the tropics, but this needs to be the focal point now. This is where the human life factor comes in and that property factor comes in. So this needs to be the number one story, but we need to start looking out as well as the other systems that might be impacting us down the road. So makes its first little soiree with the coast. This is about a Friday morning. And the NAM does something different where it sort of just dances here before going up and out, never really making landfall. But this one obviously does, gets wrapped up and stays pretty much south. And then some of the moisture loops up with another piece that's coming through and brings rain to the northeast. What I wanted to show you, I'm not going to pause it here, I'm just going to go straight into models here. Sorry. So I want to look at our heights. Okay, we keep talking about blocking. So remember, weather is going to go through the path of least resistance. I'm going to bring this all the way back because I went too far. Okay, so here comes flow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this and let it load. Okay, this is for tomorrow. All right, 594 block right here. That's not something that's going to be moving too quickly. So you have forces pushing southward against Florence, right? It has nowhere to go. It has nowhere to go. It's riding this up, right? It's pushed into the south because, again, we're blocked. We have nowhere to go. Finally, she gets lost as the block finally dissipates next week. And then that moisture will go off and out to the northeast. So I'll go to Vorts. It gives you a different showing of how the block is in place. Go all the way back and let it load. So I'll pause it here once again. The computer's running really slow today. All right, here we are, 500 millibars. I feel like I used up 500 millibytes just by loading this model. There's flow, right? Here's your blocking here. Right? You can't really tell because the colors aren't as vast. Here's your blocking. Here's your steer. Flow has nowhere to go but stay into the Carolinas. And then meander around and finally get caught and brought up north and east. I'm going to drop this one too. Okay? So, Friday looks like the time of impact. Friday morning. We're looking at extensive rainfall. We probably won't be at level Category 5 or maybe not even Category 4 hurricane. Probably a strong 3, maybe a 4 actually when I think about it. We'll keep an eye on that when it hits land. But there's so many things that still can change. You know, when we looked at Gordon last week, it was so close to the coast, and it kind of baffled in where it was going. This one has been a little more in line, a little more concrete. Everything's sort of all together with this, which is good. But again, when you're talking about weather, nothing is finite. So make sure you keep watching, make sure you keep reading, and we'll make sure to keep updating. I'm meteorologist Steve Krasnowski for your Weather Briefing Storm Scoop.